So what's this all about? When I turn my key switch on, which I didn't do, I got the battery disconnected. It does spring back a little bit, but I always have to move it back a little bit on my own, and I'm not sure why that is. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to take the panel off underneath here, and I'm going to drop the steering column down, and I'm going to see if I can figure out if I can lubricate that. This panel's removed very easily. Just turn the little clips if you got them. And there we go. Missing a clip on this side right here, but they just turn and lock and unlock. No biggie. I'm going to have to remove the bezels here, this one and this one. They're not really all that hard. The most difficult part about this is the knobs here. But get a small screwdriver, they come off pretty easily. I'll show you in a minute. Anyway, let me put the camera down. What you do with the knobs is on the inside here, there's a little metal piece, and you just push in on it. Anyway, you use the slot, just push in on it, and it releases. And then they push back on, and the wiper and the lights each have one of these. This one's for the lights. Maybe you can see that a little better, I don't know. Anyway, you can see that tab just pushes in right there. And they come off. Both knobs will come right off. Now I need to just pull the plate off like that. And there's a hex or a small socket will work. A 7mm will fit this. It actually is a little bit big, but not much. And take that little bolt type screw out. And I believe this panel will just pop off as well. And it's out of the way. You can get this panel out of the way by removing the fuel selector switch connection. It was easier just to unscrew it. 2 screws held it on there than to remove that. It's pretty stiff. Didn't want to fight it. Screws are easier. Okay, now I got to remove 2 bolts that'll hold the steering column up. They're 9/16, one on this side, and there's also one over here. You want to make sure that you support your steering wheel. I got the steering wheel with my left hand, and I'm lowering it down, and the wheel actually hits the seat. I have the seat back all the way, and I'm able to have it rest on the seat. Let me show you. And there's the ignition switch. But I'm not going to do the key and tumbler portion here. But I am going to do this ignition switch, which is down there, and you can see it all the way back in there. And this rod here is attached to the key lock cylinder, and as I'm turning it, you can see it move, and it is causing the switch to make contact. And I believe there are springs inside the switch that might be my issue, but I won't know that until I take it off of there. Okay, these nuts on this switch are 7/16, and once you break them loose, they come off with your fingers fairly easy. There's 2 of them. So I'm going to take those nuts off and drop the switch down. Okay, before I go any further, for this older model vehicle, I have to put the ignition lock cylinder in the lock position, so it's automatically set down there at the switch. Later models, I believe you would have to put it into the run position, so make sure you know which position your switch has to be in. Generally from the... And I have a new switch, and you can see that the rod's probably going to go right in that hole right there. You can see that this has adjustment, so the switch can slide this that way or that way in case you're not making proper contact. And this is generally the way they come, already set up for the position that your truck needs to be in, but I won't really know until I take this one out. So I'm going to take the nuts off, and then I'm going to take the switch out and hang it down probably on the other side of the column, and we'll see what position that one is actually in. If you want some more working room, and I do, I'm going to go ahead and take this hold piece down. There's 4 bolts on each, 2 on each side, and that'll give me more access to this switch. Okay, the nuts are off of the switch, and I stuck my phone up in there and took a picture, and I found out that the switch is practically centered on the studs, so that told me something right there. I'm going to try and lift it off. So you can see I got it over on this side of the steering column. It'd be the right side, and you can see the gap right here on the switch. These things are famous for this. These ears, they loosen up, and you can push down. Now it's probably still making contact in there, but I've seen worse than this. And I had a 85 Crown Victoria driving me nuts with all kinds of intermittent problems, intermittent starting and everything, and turned out it was this same type of switch right here. So Ford eventually, I think, changed these out, but if you're having some kind of strange problems and you can't track it down, check the ignition switch. So I'm going to go ahead and take this connection off. You can see these nice thick wires in here, and they look good too. Okay. Well, here they are both side by side, and it does look like my shaft holes are identical, and what I'll need to do is just make sure I position this switch. You can see where the outline was from the nut, and just make sure I position the switch in the center like that. When I pulled this switch, the nuts off of this side of this switch, this little metal piece was on there. It looks like a plug-in for a ground somewhere, so I'm going to go ahead and put that back on there. There was nothing plugged onto it, so, but it does look like a ground. Okay, I have the new switch in and positioned exactly where the other one was, and yes, I did try it on the column to make sure it worked. I've got the I have the plate back on here, the mounting bracket anyway, and now what I need to do is hold the column up, put a couple of these large bolts in, put the panels back on for the instruments there, and put the cover plate back on, and I should be done with the job. So let me go ahead and do that. It's just the reverse of the removal. Okay, I've got lock, accessory, lock. Guess that's on right there, and then start. That's what I want. Now I have to go hook my battery back up. And thanks for subscribing and watching. I'll see you on the next video. Bye for now.